Have you received an IRS audit notice? Don't panic. There are ways to handle this professionally, and I'm here to show you exactly what to do. In this video, I'm going to explain how to respond to the IRS audit step by step so you can protect yourself and get through the process as smoothly as possible. With over 12 years of experience as a tax attorney, I've guided countless clients through IRS audits, often achieving favorable outcomes even in the toughest of cases. By the way, I'm Brad Paladini, a tax attorney who's helped many clients successfully navigate IRS audits, avoid penalties, and keep their peace of mind. There's one thing you should never do when responding to an IRS audit, and I'm going to reveal that in just a moment, so stick around to find out what that is. The first thing you want to do when you get an IRS audit notification is identify the type of audit the IRS is conducting. There are three different types of audits: correspondence audits, office audits, and field audits. Let me explain briefly which each is. So a correspondence audit is exactly what it sounds like. You will be dealing with the IRS via correspondence. So the IRS will send you a letter, you will mail or fax a response. The IRS also has a portal where you can upload documents now. However you get it to them, it's going to be a back and forth process with just documentation. This is the simplest type of audit. It doesn't mean that there's not a lot of money involved, but there's not a lot of thoroughness. There's no meetings. It's all done via paper. The second type of audit is an office audit. This would be where you go to an IRS audit with the documentation and meet with an IRS revenue agent, also known as an auditor. That's a step up from a correspondence audit in terms of seriousness and difficulty. The auditor or revenue agent will ask you questions and you will have to provide responses. And then finally, there's the field audit. Field audits are usually reserved for the more complex types of audits, typically involving businesses. So this would involve the IRS actually coming to your place of business to see how it runs, see how it functions, maybe take some inventory, see how many people come in if it's a restaurant. Again, you would provide documentation to the auditor, but they would come to you as opposed to you going to them. So when you get the audit notice, you need to identify what they're asking for. If they're just requiring a paper response, if they want you to call to make an appointment at their office, or if they want to set up a visit to your business. That will let you know which type of audit you're experiencing and how serious it is. The next thing you want to do is identify exactly what they're asking for. So let's say you file a Form 1040 and they're auditing that 1040, but maybe within that 1040, you have a Schedule A for itemized deductions, a Schedule C for your business, and a Schedule E for your rental properties. Oftentimes, the IRS will only pick a few items to audit. So perhaps they're only looking at the Schedule C, or they're only looking at the Schedule E for the rental properties. You need to know exactly what they're asking about and limit your response to that. One of the keys of having a successful audit result is really narrowing the scope of what they're looking at. So if they're only looking at your Schedule E for rental properties, you don't want to be providing a bunch of information about your Schedule C for your business. So really make sure that you are responsive only to their requests and nothing outside of those requests. No matter whether this is a correspondence audit or a field audit or an office audit, you want to make sure that you respond as concisely as possible. The way I tell the associates who work for me how to respond to an audit is you have to spoon feed it to the IRS, right? The IRS, often their employees are overworked, they have too many cases, and they really don't want to spend any more time than necessary on your particular case. So if you give them a shoebox full of receipts and say, look, here's all my documentations to substantiate my expenses, they're not going to be particularly pleased to have to sort through it. But if you take those same receipts and you order it by category, by date, you show the bank statement where the transaction ties out to, and really spoon feed it for them, you will make the process much easier, and they're going to be more willing to maybe overlook some minor issues if the process has gone smoothly. But if they have to pour through just hundreds of random receipts from a box, they're not going to put a lot of effort into getting a result that's going to benefit you. If you're under IRS audit, you need to know when to get professional help. Some audits are relatively simple where there's one line item, maybe it's a correspondence audit, and there's just one simple thing that they want to check on. You probably don't need a professional for that. But if they're auditing your business or your rental properties, they're looking at your gross income, they want substantiation of all of your deductions, that signals that this is a more serious type of audit, and you probably want professional help. So in particular, if you are undergoing a field audit or an office audit, I would really suggest getting a professional to help you guide the process. Um, Look, you've probably never undergone an IRS audit before, right? But if you hire a tax professional, a good one, they've probably undergone hundreds of them. So they know exactly how the process works. They know exactly what the IRS is looking for. And more often than not, you're going to get a much better result than if you try to learn how to handle an audit on the fly. One of the objections that I often get from a potential client is that they want to use their tax preparer to handle the audit. And I rarely recommend this course of action for a taxpayer. And the reason is this, and I have seen this countless times over the years handling audits. So the accountant will initially handle the IRS audit, and the IRS will identify some issue early on. Most commonly, it's been gross receipts. So maybe the tax return says that there's $100,000 of gross receipts for a particular business, and the IRS does an analysis, and it turns out there's actually $200,000 of income for this business. What does the accountant do? They throw the client under the bus. They say, well, look, I prepared this return, yes, but the client told me it was 100,000, not 200,000. How was I supposed to know? They go into defense mode, and they don't go into the mode of protecting their client, which is you, the taxpayer. So that's why I really don't recommend using your preparer to handle an audit. Too often, if there's an issue, particularly if it's a major issue, they just go into defense mode, throw the client under the bus, rather than getting the best result possible for the client and not being so worried about protecting themselves. Earlier in this video, I told you about one thing you should never do in an IRS audit, and that is lie. So I've handled audits where the taxpayer started handling themselves and they provided false information. So in one particular case, the client had manipulated a document to make it look like something it was not. So look, in the overwhelming vast majority of cases, audits are going to be civil, meaning that at the end of the day, you're going to have a bill, right? You're going to owe the IRS some form of money, maybe additional penalties and interest. But if you provide a false document, if you lie, that turns a civil audit into a potential criminal case. So no matter what you do, don't lie. If there's a question you don't want to answer, you have to find a way just not to answer it without lying to the IRS. Once you do that, you are potentially stepping over that line from a civil case to a criminal case. So if this video has helped you prepare for an IRS audit, hit that like button to help more people find this information. If you've received an audit notice and want professional guidance, click on the link below to book a free consultation. My team and I will help you navigate the audit with confidence.